Hey guys, today I thought instead of doing my usual drawing and animations, I thought instead that I could talk about the topic of Jinx trauma and how it's represented in Arcane, as I thought it would be a really interesting subject to discuss. Plus, I do have quite a lot of ideas and stuff to analyze in this topic. So, what is exactly Jinx trauma? We first need to figure out what it is. The main one is obviously when Di abandoned her and technically left her to die. However, there are also more traumas that Jinx had when she was Powder and younger. We can see throughout her childhood that she feels useless and a burden to Vi and the others, and because of this, she tries desperately to help, which ironically led to her own demise. Another trauma is the fact that when she was still a child and when she was Powder, she never grew up because of what happened when Di abandoned her. Now, this is a really important fact, and I'll explain it in more detail later. We can see, personality-wise, that Jinx's trauma is shown throughout her personality and the way she acts. And I think the people who made Arcane and produced this show were really smart to use a sudden graffiti that happened to randomly sometimes to represent Jinx's trauma. That's a big part of Jinx's trauma. But another big fact about her trauma is that she's quite agitated at times and does things on a whim, almost like a child. And I think it's because she acts like a child, because she never really grew up from her trauma and the pain that she felt when Di abandoned her. One scene where we see her agitated is when she's stapling her cut on her leg that she got. Here we can see that while she does this, she's being very manic, and the graffiti is showing up a lot. Plus, there's a broken mirror, which obviously represents how her mind is per se broken and different. And she uses the stapler pain in a way to distract herself. At some parts, we even see her enjoying the pain a bit. In the character design of Jinx, we can also see that a lot of Jinx's trauma and ability to grow up is in there, even though you don't really notice it. One of these things that I really thought about it and really wanted to talk about are the tattoos she has on her arms. Now, they're not exactly tattoos, as they're quite childless and they seem to be drawn on. Now, this shows just how much that she never really grew up and that inside she's still a child, even though she may have grown up physically. Now, I also wanted to talk about the final scene, as I think it's a really interesting topic to discuss and to see how Jinx grew from Powder to Jinx. In this scene, we see that in the end, obviously, Jinx chooses her own fate, where she abandons Powder and becomes Jinx. But this scene is so well made because all her notable character traits are gone. All her traits that made her childish and made her noticeable amongst other characters are gone. Instead, Jinx becomes a calm, almost emotionless character, complete opposite of what she was before. The reason for this, I think, is because when she chose to abandon Powder on her own, she abandoned her trauma and her childish self that was holding her back, but which in turn made her into an actual adult. Now, I hope you guys liked this video, even though it's quite different from what I usually do. If you guys like this enough, I might do a video exploring the relationship of Silco and Jinx, as I think that would be really interesting as well.